Welcome back to the Fathead Racing MX YouTube channel. We've got some two-stroke top ends here for you today. This YZ250 is a cylinder that came from SuperFan. Matt Burkeen may be running this cylinder. We'll find out. We got some port and polish done by moi, and needs finished up. We'll get some vapor blasting, some power valve assembly. We'll use some Prime MX products to get this thing dialed. Carson Mumford MX Locker KX500 project. We've got a steel sleeve in this one, so it was bored and honed by Power Seal. We'll get that one vapor blasted and power valve assembled as well. This one's got the fresh Nicosil, as you can see here, looking good. Power Seal does a really nice job. Really good people over there. So in addition to that, I've got a cylinder. I probably don't have to yell. I think this microphone's working. But I got this cylinder from Charles at MXRevival, MX Skill Shack. He's working with Uncle Tony over there. They're doing some bike rebuilds and giveaways, so check them out. I'll have their channel linked below. I'll have links to the Prime MX products I'll be using to tune up these cylinders to get them ready, race ready for these professionals and or Superfan, who knows. I've also got some new products. We got some gas caps going for the KTM model bikes. Take your internals out of your original cap, bolt them in here, and then you got this billet top. Look at that. This is hard black anodized. Got the blue, red, some purple. We got Yamaha caps coming soon. Match sets to go with these. Look at that. What do you think? I'm really digging it. We're going to do a couple shades of purple. We'll see. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll get this stuff all cleaned up, dialed in. I'll show you some tips along the way. Maybe some pointers to help you out with possibly your KX500 or YZ250 or other two-stroke assemblies, or even just other mechanically functioning devices, because the principles of friction apply to all sorts of motion type things in life. Even just, I don't know. That's a little bit of lotion. Make this better, right? I don't have any. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is terrible. We're going to edit that out. We're looking down at the exhaust side of this cylinder. I don't see any harsh wear patterns. Looks like the bridge for the exhaust port is intact. Doesn't seem to be any gouging. And as we turn the cylinder around to get a look at the inside, intake side, looks to be about an even amount of wear from front to back. So what that tells you is that this motor probably was not run with a bad crankshaft bearing. When you run your motor with a bad crank bearing or bad lower main bearing, your rod is going to push hard into the front of the cylinder as the piston fires and generates force to feed into the crankshaft to the transmission. That piston comes down and forward into that front wall of the cylinder. So if you have an excessive amount of wear on the front of your cylinder or your exhaust side of your cylinder, that means you're probably going to have a bad time. You need to replace the rod. As you can see here, you can still see a little bit of hone marks, but this one's definitely due to be refreshed. And another thing to note here is that you can see a slight amount of detonation damage here. It's hiding behind that Nicosil, but once the Nicosil is removed, that detonation damage will show. And what happens is that you're generating a lot of heat on the outer edge of this cylinder, and you're not getting any coolant there. That's where the most pressure is going to be, at the very top of your cylinder. So you got the most amount of heat and pressure right here. And yeah, if it's a little too much, you get that pre-detonation. It starts to heat up and can cook out the edge of your cylinder, your piston, and your head. So using the fathead cylinder head will help prevent that, because it does dissipate more heat. So let's get this thing out and Nicosil plated. We'll get it back, get it sent to those guys. Fresh out of the vapor blaster. Here's a look at the porting. I did the porting before I sent it out for Nicosil. So you don't have the typical marks that you would have, seeing all the sanding and grinding marks. Everything's been removed when they do the stripping process in Nicosil. Gives it, I don't know, kind of a clean look. But you can see it's all been opened up. Let's get a look in here. We're going to use the Prime MX products to finish this exhaust port. Get it looking good. See the finish here now. It's definitely not primed. I got various grinders here, a couple different length shafts, different grit and different size wheels available through Prime MX. Check them out, links below. Definitely quality products. I've been using these for since they came out, so a couple years now. Really like these grinder attachments. Definitely work great for finishing the porting. I went through with some carbide and then some sanders, and then I definitely finished with these. So check that out. Let's do it. Okay, got the ports cleaned up with the prime pad. So next step is going to be these power valves. Got them bagged up here, and if you'll notice, there is fluid floating around in there. That's some penetrating oil, WD-40. If you don't have a parts washer, which I do have some parts solvent in a bucket, I don't have an actual parts washer set up yet, but yeah, if you don't, you can just spray some penetrating oil into some sort of container and let your parts soak, and they'll clean up pretty nice. But we're going to take these to the grinder with the prime pads on it and get them detailed a bit further, and then we'll get them installed in the cylinder, and then we'll move on to Carson cylinder. These are a little more carbon saturated, so I'm having them soak a bit longer. You can see it's pretty nasty in there. So yeah, we'll get those dialed. We'll get these dialed right now. I'm gonna pull them out of the bag, wipe them off with a rag, and then hit them with the prime wheels to get them buffed out. That'll give us a little extra clearance on these valves, and that will allow them to slide with less friction. Got the power valve pieces primed to reduce friction. This smooth surface will also resist the buildup of carbon. Same concept with which has been done to the exhaust port, also using the Prime MX products. Really good stuff. Can't say enough good things about the Prime products. And as you can see, I definitely put them to work on this project. So let's get this valve assembled, and I'll show you the adjustment points to get it moving friction free. So we've got the valve assembled. Procedure is main valve, side valves in. You put the retainer for the main valve, then you bolt in these levers. The arms go down in the slots inside these side valves. You can see the slot lines up to the arm. Okay, once everything is installed here, then you can get your shaft in place. The springs are on it with the washers. We got the lever to hold the center valve. This is in tight. These components are tight. This is tightened here, but I left these loose. As you can see here, these are still loose and they're slotted, so there's an adjustment here. And what you want to do is make sure these can move freely and get them right about the middle, somewhere in there. You don't want it all the way this way. You don't want it jammed on the edge. You want to get this moving freely, and you want to make sure that your valves are closed. Your main valve is closed. So if this is open, these need to be back. So you want this closed, these shoved in, get these moving freely, tighten these up, and then your valve will work really, really well. So let's do that now. Got my Allen wrench here. Let's get this one started. Okay. This one started as well. Bear with me, I got the camera placed in front of me, so it's a little awkward. These are used screws. They're a little stripped. We're gonna get it. Okay. So we got these screws in here. They're loose. Everything is moving freely. No friction there. If you don't follow that procedure and you tighten these, before you tighten this one, there's a good chance you'll have some binding action in this valve. You will not be very happy with it. So I'll get these tightened up, and this valve should open and close timed properly and smoothly. Main valve opens, side valves open. See the timing there? All the way closed, all the way open. Main valve opens first, and then the side valves. Voila! I like it. Very smooth, very happy, lubed up, primed up, ported, assembled. Let's go. Cylinder is out of the vapor blast cabinet. I got the bore wiped with some oil to keep it from rusting. Power valve pieces and studs are removed from the bag that had the WD-40 penetrant, and you can see they're still really crusty, but this crust is a bit loosened up, so that'll help. I'm going to take these over to the brass wire wheel, knock off the heavy stuff, and then we'll hit them with the prime pads on the buffing wheel and get cleaned up, and we'll get everything assembled. Okay, so we got the prime finish on the valves. We got the cylinder washed. We've also got the prime finish down inside where the valves will ride. I went ahead and coated everything in assembly lube. The main valve has been installed. Simply drop it into place, bolt it in. From here, you're going to line up the ears on the main valve with the slots on these valves. So we drop these down in. There is a left and a right to these valves, and I'll show you once I got them in place how to tell which is which. See here, the slot will drop down and line up with the valves. So valves are now seated down in and they're hooked over the edges. The alignment marks are here and here. Can you see that? Yeah, you see that alignment mark? There's this alignment mark, okay? The valve at this point is in the wide open position. And these side valves, you can see this one just peeking a little bit there. This one is peeking a little bit here. So they're not open. The valve is in wide open. And the marks are facing the exhaust side. So the next step is we're going to slip in this shaft by pulling this valve up out of place, hold it up, pull this valve up out of place as well. Now let me tell you that you will have a lot of trouble if there's carbon or if there's excessive amounts of oil. Anything that's going to interfere with the movement of these valves will give you trouble with aligning and timing this. So get it clean. Even just the assembly lube is now creating a vacuum in the bottom where these sit, and they're a lot more firm when it comes to moving them. It's just one of the principles of fluid dynamics. When you get fluid down in a hole, you get suction, you get vacuum. So these are seated in here with oil. Now I'll align these timing marks with the mark on the shaft. See, the shaft has marks on it as well. This one is perfectly aligned. This one needs a little adjustment. Once we get these lined up correctly, which I'm going to gently grab this with vice grips, turn it. There we go. So we got the marks aligned. Now we can drop in these pieces, which will hold the shafts in place. And it's critical to hold these while you drop them in. It just wants to move on me right now. So this additional gear will allow this one to engage. Let's see if we can drop this one in to hold the other one. Okay, marks are still aligned. And this crescent piece is the final piece to go in. Okay, got proper alignment. We got the valve in the wide open position. And there's your closed position. So your side valves are closed. Now watch the main valve open. Side valves are now open, closed, open. See that? Very nice. Very smooth. Everything is primed, lubed, functioning properly. MX Locker, Carson Mumford. I think you guys should be pretty happy with this one. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. More to come.